This lecture is about chi-square distribution. We are not always interested in means and proportions. There are many managerial situations where we will be concerned about the variability in a population. So chi-square is a statistical measure used in the context of sampling analysis for comparing a variance to a theoretical variance. So chi-square distribution is also used to test the goodness of fit, test the significance of association between two attributes, and test the homogeneity or the significance of population variance. The sampling distribution of the chi-square statistics can be closely approximated by a continuous curve known as a chi-square distribution. As in the case of t distribution, there is a different chi-square distribution for each different number of degree of freedom. So this figure shows the different chi-square distributions corresponding to 1, 5 and 10 degree of freedom. For very small numbers of degrees of freedom, the chi-square distribution is spherically skewed to the right. As the number of degrees of freedom increases, the curve rapidly becomes more symmetrical until the number reaches large values, at which point the distribution can be approximated by the normal distribution. The chi-square distribution is a probability distribution. Therefore, the total area under the curve in each chi-square distribution is 1. In many situations, responsible decision makers have to make inferences about the variability in a population. In this section, we shall see how to make inferences about a single population variance. So, for chi-square statistic, for inferences about one variance is given by n minus 1 s square upon sigma square, where s square is the variance of the sample and sigma square is the variance of the population, and degrees of freedom for this distribution is n minus 1. Here is a table from which we can read the chi-square values for different levels of significance. So, for a particular level of significance and degrees of freedom, we can read the value of chi-square from this table. Confidence intervals for the population variance. So, we will do this with the help of an example. An investigator wants to know the time taken by sample of given mix. He tests 9 samples to estimate the standard deviation in time of fatigue testing. He also wants to know how accurate that estimate is and what uncertainty is associated with it. In other words, he wants a confidence interval of sigma at 95% confidence level. So, in this case, if we have to just find out a point estimate of sigma, then we can use the chi-square for given degrees of freedom depending upon the sample size. N is the sample size. So, from here, sigma square, that is the estimate for the population variance, that is equal to n minus 1 variance of the sample divided by chi-square. So, this sigma will be the point estimate from the variance of the sample. Now, if we want the confidence interval, then how we have to move? Then first of all, we will find out the variance and standard deviation of the sample. For that, we know x, this is the time which is given by the samples. 9 samples they have taken, so he has noted the time for the 9 samples. For that we have calculated the mean, okay, x bar. So then we have calculated the values of x minus x bar, and then x minus x bar square, then sigma x minus x bar square, and then we have calculated the variance and then standard deviation. This is for the sample. So if you will see, this is a chi-square distribution for given degree of freedom. Because we have to find out both the limits, so your value should lie in this acceptance region. Okay. So whatever is the level of significance, here the level of significance alpha is given as 0.05. So half of the area should be there 0.025 and half of the area should be here 0.025. So from the table we will see two values of chi-square, because in what happened in case of normal distribution, it used to be symmetric about the center. So the same value we used to get here in positive terms, and here we used to get the same value in negative terms. But the chi-square term is having all the values as positive because its limits are from 0 to plus infinity. Normal distribution, the limits were minus infinity to plus infinity, but in chi-square the limits are 0 to infinity. So that's why we have to read from table two different values from which are designated as chi-square u, upper value for chi-square, and chi-square l, that is lower value from chi-square. So here if you will see the table, in the table for chi-square upper, the area is 0.025. So in between 0.02 and 0.05 for given 8 n minus 1, total samples are 9. So degrees of freedom would be 9 minus 1, that is 8. So corresponding to 8, we will interpolate between the value of 0.05 and 0.02. So that would be for chi-square u. For chi-square L, so the total area now on this side would be this 0.025 plus this area. This is now 0.95. So 0.95 plus 0.025. So the value would be 0.975. So for chi-square L at 8 degrees of freedom, we will see a value between 0.99 and 0.95. So in between these two values we will interpolate for 0.975. So that would be our chi-square L. So from this table we get chi-square u as 17.535 and chi-square L as 2.181. So this one is acceptance region, and these both on this side and this side is the rejection region. So after that we will calculate the interval for sigma square. So sigma square L would be n minus 1 s square upon chi u square, because chi is in denominator, so that's why upper value will come for lower interval. Okay, so we have got that as 241.35, and chi square u is equal to n minus 1 s square upon chi square L, and that comes out to be 1941.28. So this is for variance, but he wants to estimate the confidence interval for standard deviation. So we will take the square root of these two values. So the interval is 15.54 to 14.06 hours. Next is chi-square as a test for comparing variance. Now many times researchers need to know whether the differences they observe among several sample proportions are significant or only due to chance. The chi-square value is often used to judge the significance of population variance. We can use the test to judge if a random sample has been drawn from this given normal population or not. So first of all, we will start with a two-tailed test of a variance. Two-tailed test means that we have to, whatever is the level of significance alpha, we have to take it on both the sides of the curves, alpha by 2 and alpha by 2. In between is the acceptance region, okay, and on both the sides is the rejection region. So we will start with an example. An engineering professor has given careful thought to the design of examinations. In order for him to be reasonably certain that an exam does a good job of distinguishing the differences in achievement shown by the students, the standard deviation of scores on the examination cannot be too small. On the other hand, if the standard deviation is too large, there will tend to be a lot of very low scores, which is bad for student morale. Past experience has led the professor to believe that a standard deviation of about 13 points on a 100-point exam indicates that the exam does a good job of balancing these two objectives. The professor just gave an examination to his class of 31 freshmen and sophomores. The mean score was 72.7 and the sample standard deviation was 15.9. Does this exam meet his good criterion at 0.1 level of significance? So here we have to see that whether the standard deviation is 13 or not. It should not be more than this, or it should not be too less than this. So the given is that hypothetical value of population standard deviation is 13, sample standard deviation is 15.9 and sample size is 31. So first step is we will state the problem symbolically. That means we will define what is our null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So null hypothesis is the true standard deviation is 13, and then comes the alternative hypothesis, that is the true standard deviation is not 13, and level of significance is given as 0.10. So then second step is we will calculate the chi-square value. Chi-square is equal to n minus 1 s square upon sigma square. S square is given as 15.9 and sigma square is given as 13 square. So it comes out to be 44.88. This is the observed value. Now we will check from table. So from table, degrees of freedom, here the score is of 30 samples. Okay, so 31 samples. So degree of freedom is 31 minus 1, 30. Okay, so from table for degrees of freedom equal to 30 and 0.1 level of significance for two-tail test. It means what? Two-tail है, इसका मतलब 0.05 of area on one side and 0.05 of area on other side, and in between is the acceptance region. So our value is from the table is 18.493 and 43.773, and the calculated value is 44.88. So that is here 44.88. So that comes in the rejection region. It means sample value of chi-square is not in the acceptance region, so the professor should reject the null hypothesis. This exam does not meet his goodness criteria. So this is how we do the two-tailed test. Next comes the one-tailed test of a variance. In one-tailed we can have a lower curve or a left-tailed test, in which whatever is the level of significance, the whole area would be on one side only. Similarly, for upper tail test or right tailed test, whatever is the level of significance, the whole area would be on that side. So this hole would be the rejection and on the other side would be the acceptance region. So we will do a numerical on this. Precision Analytics manufactures a wide line of precision instruments. So in this numerical, if you will read the statement, we want to know that your standard deviation should not be below 1 microgram. Okay, so he has weighed the sample by 30 different times and the standard deviation comes out to be 0.73 grams. Should this balance be sold at alpha equal to 0.01? So the hypothesized value of population standard deviation is 1, but sample standard deviation is given as 0.73 and sample size is 30. So what is our hypothesis? Null hypothesis is sigma equal to 1 and alternative hypothesis is sigma is less than 1 as the true standard deviation is less than 1 microgram and level of significance is 0.01. Here we will again first of all calculate the chi-square value, n minus 1 s square upon sigma square. S is given, sigma is given, so we calculate chi-square as 15.45. Then from table, 30 is the sample size, so degrees of freedom is 30 minus 1, that is 29, and area is 0.01 on lower tail. So the whole area of 0.01 will come on this side. So corresponding to here the area would be 1 minus 0.01, 0.99 corresponding to this area under the curve. We will check the value of chi-square, that comes out to be 14.256. So our sample is 15.41. This is in acceptance region. So we see that we cannot reject the null hypothesis. The balance will have to be returned to the production line for adjusting. Next use of chi-square test is as a test of goodness of fit. As a test of goodness of fit, chi-square test enables us to see how well does the assumed theoretical distribution such as binomial distribution, Poisson distribution or normal distribution fit to the observed data. When some theoretical distribution is fitted to the given data, we are always interested in knowing as to how well this distribution fits with the observed data. The chi-square test can give answer to this. So if the calculated value of chi-square is less than the table value at a certain level of significance, the fit is considered to be a good one, which means that the divergence between the observed and expected frequencies is attributable to fluctuations of sampling. But if the calculated value of chi-square is greater than its table value, the fit is not considered to be a good one. So for that we use this formula, chi-square is equal to sigma Oij minus Eij square upon Eij, where Oij is the observed frequency of the cell in ith row and jth column and Eij is the expected frequency of the cell in the ith row and jth column. If the two distributions are exactly alike, then this chi-square would be 0. But generally due to sampling errors, chi-square is not equal to 0 and as such we must know the sampling distribution of chi-square so that we may find the probability of an observed chi-square being given by a random sample from the hypothetical universe. We can use Ruddy table, which gives the probability for given value of chi-square. If the calculated value of chi-square is equal to or exceeds the table value, the difference between the observed and expected frequencies is taken as significant. But if the table value is more than the calculated value of chi-square, then the difference is considered as insignificant. That is considered to have arisen as a result of chance and as such can be ignored. So, in case of contingency table, the degree of freedom is calculated by C minus 1 multiplied by R minus 1, where C means the number of columns and R means the number of rows. So this contingency table comes into picture when there are more than one or two constraints. Then for how many classes we are taking the data and how many attributes we are checking, so that constitutes the rows and columns. Again, we will explain this with the help of an example. Okay, so these are few conditions for the applications of chi-square test. You can have a look on this. These are also given in your book. Next is how to proceed with the chi-square test. So when we have to apply the chi-square test for any data, first of all calculate the expected frequencies on the basis of given hypothesis or on the basis of null hypothesis. So generally, if you will take any sample, okay, you will observe some frequencies that you will get as observed frequencies. Then we have to calculate the expected frequencies. For any given phenomena, there are different formulas that we can apply to get the expected frequencies. But if the values are in form of a contingency table, then we can find out the expected frequency of any cell, that is equal to row total of that cell multiplied by column total for the column of that cell divided by the grand total. Grand total means row total plus column total. So we know the observed frequency as well as the expected frequency. So second step is obtain the difference between the observed and expected frequencies and find out the squares, O minus E square. Then divide this quantity by expected frequency, that O minus E square divided by E for all the values. Then find out the summation of O minus E square upon E values. So summation of O minus E square upon E is what? Chi-square. So this would be our observed chi-square. Then we will compare it with the chi-square value from the table depending upon the degree of freedoms, and then inference be drawn as stated above. So again we will move with an example. Two research workers classified some people in income groups on the basis of sampling studies. Their results are as follows. Now here two investigators are there for which data is there, and each of the investigator has studied three groups. It means in this data we are having 1, 2 and 3 columns and 2 rows, 1 and 2. So this is the contingency table. So here we will find out the row total 160 plus 30 plus 30 equal to 200. Similarly, the column total 160 plus 140 is equal to 300. So these calculations first of all we will do. Here we have to show that the sampling technique of at least one researcher work is defective. So for that, first of all we will calculate the expectation of a investigator classifying the people. So let us take the hypothesis that the sampling techniques adopted by researchers are similar, means there is no difference between the techniques adopted by research workers. This is our hypothesis, null hypothesis. So alternate hypothesis would be that there is a difference between techniques. Okay, so we have taken the null hypothesis as that the sampling techniques adopted by the research workers are similar. So first of all, we will calculate the expected frequencies. Now here the observed frequency for poor by investigator A, first of all we are calculating. For poor it is given as 160. So corresponding to 160 we will see what is the row total, 200, what is the column total, 300, divided by 200 plus 300 equal to 500. So for poor income group it comes out to be 120. This is the expected frequency for this. Then comes for the, again we are calculating for the investigator A, so we are interested in for A only. So for middle one, this is the data, and corresponding row is 200 and column total is 500 and 200 plus 150. So 200 plus 150, so this should come as 350. Oh, sorry, we have to take the total 500, grand total of the rows and columns. So that comes out to be, that would be remain same, 500, 500. Okay. So 120, then 60, then for the rich one 200, this is 50, and this would be 500, so it comes out to be 20. Similarly, we will find out for the investigator B. Investigator B, again for poor income group, this is 300 and 200, grand total is 500. Okay. Similarly for middle, corresponding to 120 we will see. Okay, ठीक है, corresponding to 120 we will see here 300, here it is 150, 300, 150 and 90. And similarly for rich income group, corresponding to this 300, here 50, and total is 500. So we have calculated the expected frequencies for all income groups by both the investigators. So 6 entities are there. Similarly, we have calculated, so we can do the calculation in tabular form. So here you can see that the observed frequencies are given as this value. We have calculated the expected, that can be filled in this column, and then difference that can be calculated in this column, and difference square divided by the expected frequency, that comes over here. So this calculation we will do for all the income groups by both the investigators, and then we will find out summation of all these values, sigma oi minus ei square upon eij. So that comes out to be 55.54. This is our calculated chi-square value. And degrees of freedom are C minus 1 and R minus 1. As I told you that columns are 3 and rows are 2. So 3 minus 1 into 2 minus 1, that comes out to be 2. So from the table, for chi-square value of 2 at 5% level of significance, we get it as 5.991. The calculated value of chi-square is much higher than the stable value, which means that the calculated value cannot be said to have arisen just because of chance. It is significant, hence the hypothesis does not hold good. This means that the sampling techniques adopted by the two investigators differ and are not similar. Naturally, then the technique of one must be superior than the other. So then we move to the next numerical. 8 coins were tossed 256 times and the following results were obtained. Number of heads, 0 heads for 2 times, 1 head, okay, for 6 2 heads for 30 times, 3 heads for 52 times, 4 heads for 67, 5 heads for 56, 6 heads came for 32 times, 7 heads came for 10 times, and 8 heads came for 1 time. So 8 coins, they were tossed 256 times. So 8 coins together for 256 times. Are the coins biased? Use chi-square test. So observed frequency is given to us. So the first step is we have to calculate the expected frequency. For that we will use that NCR into P raised to power R, Q raised to power N minus R is the expected frequency. So here first of all we are calculating 0 heads. Total N is 8 coins are there, so 8 C R is the 0 number of heads, so here would be 0 and P 0, Q raised to power 8 minus 0. And P and Q, if you see, P is the probability of coming the head for 1 coin. Okay, so that would be half. If 1 coin is falling, then the probability of falling it with head upwards is 1 by 2. So it remains the same whatever be the number of throws. In such a case, the expected values of getting 0, 1, 2 heads in a single throw in 256 throws of 8 coins will be given by NCR, PR, Q raised to power N by R. And here we have taken the hypothesis that coins are not biased. Okay, so observed frequency is given to us, and for each number of heads we have calculated the expected frequency. So again, probability of any coin that can be calculated. So number of heads 0, 1, 2, 3 for each observed frequency we have been given, and expected we have calculated. Then we can find out the difference, or then we can find out difference square divided by expected frequency for all the values, and then we can add this up. That would be our chi-square value, sigma OI minus EI square upon EIJ. So that comes out to be 3.13. So here the degrees of freedom would be n minus 1, that is 8. So the table value of chi-square for 8 degrees of freedom at 5% level of significance is 15.507. The calculated of chi-square value is much less than this table, and hence it is insignificant and can be ascribed due to fluctuations of sampling. The result thus supports the hypothesis, and we may say that the coins are not biased. In this way, if we have a distribution that we think may be normal, but we are not sure, we use a known normal distribution to generate the expected values, and then using chi-square methods we see how much difference there is between these expected values and the observed values. If the difference is too large, then our distribution is not normal. Thank you.